Last summer, I was invited to spend some time at Nuololo Kai. I live on the island of Kauai, but I've never been there. So this was my first time. Now let me tell you about this incredible place. On the first day, when we arrived there, we had a talk. Our trip was scheduled to last 5 days, and Mike Demoda, the assistant director of the National Tropical Botanical Garden, was the one who gave us our briefing. Mike is an expert on plants, and he's been there many times. Nuololo was once a village where hundreds of people lived. Archaeologists know that people lived everywhere in this area. But Sabre took us where most of the rock structures are, which also happens to be where most of the Ohana's work has been done so far. She explained that this was the place where Hawaiians living on the north side of the island traded with people living on the west side. I now understand how incredibly important this place was, and it's really awesome to see how people today still connect with Nuololo. There is so much to learn here, and everybody in the group was listening to what Sabre was telling us. The history, the culture, it was great. Sabre also wanted us to learn about the plants that grew here. Many of them were used by the people who lived here, and many of them still grow here. Some were used for food, some were used to make clothes and tools. Some were also used for decoration and beauty. There are all kinds of flowers here, and I got to make a lei with Sabre. There are different techniques with different plants, and this one was a little more difficult to learn. I don't remember the name of this plant, but all I can say is that I felt Aliana looked like a princess when Sabre put the lei on her head. She was a little shy, but I think she looked beautiful. Nuololo Kai stands right under a cliff that has a giant X. Legend says that the goddess Pele marked the spot as a sign. There are lots of walls here, and all kinds of terraced stone platforms. Sabre told us about the work the archaeologists did here and how important it is to understand how and where people lived for hundreds of years. Afterwards, we went for a little walk, all the way to the point where the ocean prevents you from going any further. That was a fantastic way to start the trip. I'm now ready to do more. A lot of the work that's being done by the Nepali Coast Ohana has to do with native Hawaiian plants. So, when people come here on these working trips, many times the focus is about removing invasive plants and helping out the ones that are indigenous to this part of the island. Many people in our group knew the names of every single plant that is growing here. They also knew exactly what to do with them. I do know a few, like the taro plant, and I learned that the ancient Hawaiian name for it was kalo. On the first afternoon of our trip, Mike and some of the adults went for a hike higher up by the cliff. Here, some very, very rare plants still live. It's hard to find out where they are, and when one is discovered, often a fence is built around it so the wild goats that live here don't eat them. Mike takes pictures and a bunch of notes. That's the kind of work he does for the botanical garden. There are only a few plants like this one growing in the wild in the entire world. We really must protect them. Hawaiians always had a deep understanding of nature and how to use what was available to them. For example, they traditionally use very specific plants to make their clothes. So Sabre showed us the entire process of how to make kapa. First, you must scrape off the brown and green bark that's on the outside. To do that, people traditionally use seashells. It takes a lot of patience. Next, you peel off the layer that protects the inside of the plant. It's best to pull it in one piece, but that takes a lot of practice. People who have done this before often end up with a thin, large strip that is already very soft. Now, it's time to hit it with a stick and make it even wider. Sometimes, a 1-inch piece ends up being several inches wide. That's the fabric, but it takes time to make it just right, so you don't rush things. You take your time and silently do your work. On the day we worked on our kapa, a group of tourists stopped by to visit Nuololo Kai. Saber was happy to greet them and explained what we were doing. A few people even joined us and got to make their own kapa. A lot of people were asking questions. I felt really proud to be part of the group sitting there. Of course, the process of making kapa involves more than just hitting your strip with a stick. You need to also color it. And to do that, special roots are boiled in the seawater until you have a bright yellow dye. Aliana and Luhua were in charge of that. You can take many different pieces of kapa and merge them into a single big one. That's what Hami and Yumi did. They showed me how to let the kapa dry in the sun for a full day. Once the process is all done, you're left with a piece of fabric that is both soft and strong. That was really cool. As I said before, this was a work trip, but we also had a lot of fun. Because of the hula conference that was coming to Kauai, Sabra and some of the others had to practice their hula dancing. Aliana is a super great dancer and even performed hula in different countries around the world. So we sat and watched as they did dance moves that were probably done here hundreds of years ago. The funny thing was that nobody brought speakers, so Saber had to use headphones and play the rhythm on an old bucket. It totally worked though, and everybody enjoyed the performance. It was a rehearsal, but there is real magic in the air here, and what happened that day was very special. Kat and Kim took lots of pictures, and I just couldn't help thinking that I wish I knew how to do hula too. Of course you can't go to Nuololo Kai and not hike to the edge of the cliffs. So we all went together for a couple of hours and explored the area above where we were camping. Michael, Hami, and Luhua's dad fixed another fence that was there to protect some other plants. We made it all the way to the top, and I was pretty tired. But at the same time, I was very happy that I did it, because once you reach the top, you get to see the best view of Nuololo. We stayed there a little bit, and I started imagining what things would have looked like 500 years ago. I'm sure it was very different, and something in my heart tells me life here was good. When I went to Nuololo Kai, I didn't know anyone except my dad and Sabra, but I made some great friends here. There was a lot of swimming and snorkeling. There was also a lot of hiding in the trees, walking by the shore, and talking stories. Matt showed us how to make bowls out of stone the Hawaiian way. Hami showed me how to weave little baskets, the way she learned it when she was a little girl in Japan. I'm now learning how to weave my fishing net with Uncle Charlie. But for me, the best part was when, at night, we got together after dinner. The adults played music and we girls got to dance hula. No matter how late we stayed, we were always up early, making sure not to miss the early morning light. That's another very special time, and you can't figure what's bigger in front of you, the ocean or the sky. The sun rose slowly, but the colors changed quickly, and no matter what time it was, Matt was always there doing some work. I will never forget my first trip to Nuololokai. The place is very special and brings out the best in everyone, so thank you. Thank you Kat, Luhua, Aliana, Kim, Yumi, Hami, Michael, Mike, Ed, Lois, and Carl. Thanks Papa, and most of all, thank you Saber for making it all happen.